Welcome all. I am Maria Vincent, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. Today, I will be going to discuss on the topic Digital Communication, Module 4, which comes under the course Electronics Communication for S7 AAA students.
So now we will discuss the pulse code modulation or PCM. So in the previous slide, we discussed that the pulse modulation technique can be classified as two, that is analog pulse modulation and digital pulse modulation. So the PAM, that is pulse amplitude modulation, then pulse width modulation and pulse position modulation are examples for analog pulse modulation, whereas this pulse code modulation or the PCM is an example for digital pulse modulation technique. So here this diagram is the simplified block diagram of a single channel simplex PCM system. So in this figure you can see that we have a PCM transmitter and a PCM receiver. So in between the PCM transmitter and the PCM receiver we have the communication channel. And this PCM transmitter consists of a band pass filter followed by a sample and hold circuit. So the output of the sample and hold circuit is given to an analog to digital converter where it converts your analog signal to a digital signal. So that will be a parallel data. So in order to transfer that data to the receiver, we have to convert that parallel data to a serial one. So for that, we have to make use of a parallel to serial converter. So that serial data is given to the receiver via this communication channel. So at the channel, you can see that we have to make use of regenerative repeaters. So as the distance between the transmitter and the receiver increases, we have to make use of more number of repeaters so that we can improve the signal strength. So at the receiver, we are receiving the serial data. So that serial data should be converted to a parallel one with the help of a serial to parallel converter. So that parallel data is given to a digital to analog converter. So the digital data we have to convert it back to the analog one because our input signal is what? A analog signal. So that analog signal is given to a hold circuit. So the output of the hold circuit will be a PAM output, and finally we have to perform the filtration with the help of a low pass filter, and finally we have the original analog signal. So this is what is happening in this PCM system. So now we'll go in detail. So in PCM, the analog signal is sampled and then converted into a serial n-bit binary code for the transmission. So each code has the same number of bits and requires the same length of time for the transmission. So the PCM is the preferred method of communication because with PCM it is easy to combine the digitized voice and digital data into a single high-speed digital signal and propagate it over either a metallic or a fiber optical cables. So that communication channel, that is that in between the PCM transmitter and the PCM receiver, that communication channel can be either a metallic cable or a fiber cables. So in PCM, the pulses are of fixed length and a fixed amplitude. And this PCM is a binary system where a pulse or no pulse within a prescribed time slot represent either a logic 1 or a logic 0 condition. That is, this PCM, in PCM, we are converting that original analog signal to a digital data. That is, we can represent that output in a binary form. That is, it can be either a logic 1 or a logic 0. So if it is logic 1, then it will represent with a pulse. If it is logic 0, then there will be no pulse at the transmitter. So the PWM, PPM, PAM are digital but not often binary, as a pulse does not represent a single binary digit. So in this transmitter, you have seen that it consists of a bandpass filter. So this bandpass filter limits the frequency of the analog input signal to the standard voice band frequency range of 300 Hz to 3000 Hz. So that filtered output is given to a sample and hold circuit. So this sample and hold circuit periodically samples the analog input signals and convert that signal to a multi-level PAM signal. So that at the output of the sample and hold circuit will be a PAM signal, that is it consists of what, a constant amplitude signal. So that constant amplitude signal or the PAM signal is given to an analog to digital converter where it converts that PAM samples to a parallel PCM codes which are converted into a serial binary data using a parallel to serial converter. So the PCM transmitter consists of a band pass filter followed by a sample and hold circuit where it converts your analog signal to a PAM signal. So that PAM signal is converted to a digital signal with the help of a analog to digital converter, and finally we have to convert that parallel data to a serial data with the help of a parallel to serial converter. Then it is passed as output to the transmission lines as serial digital pulse. So we can make use of that, we can make use of either optical cables or metallic cable as the channel between the transmitter and the receiver. And in that figure you can see that we need to make use of regenerative repeaters. So this regenerative repeaters are placed at specific distances to regenerate the digital pulses. So at the receiver, the serial to parallel converter converts the serial pulses received from the transmitter line to a parallel PCM code. So at the receiver, we are receiving the serial data. So we have to convert that serial data to a parallel one. So for that, at the receiver, we have to make use of a serial to parallel converter. And that parallel data is given to a digital to analog converter. That is, we have to, our original signal is in the form of an analog signal. So at the receiver, we have to regenerate our original signal. So for that, we have to make use of a digital to analog converter where it converts the parallel PCM code to multi-level PAM signals. Then that analog signal is given to a hold circuit which is basically a low pass filter that converts the PAM signal back to its original analog form. An integrated circuit that performs the PCM encoding and decoding function is called a coder or decoder. So in order to understand the working principle of PCM, we have to consider the three different steps which happens in PCM, that is sampling, quantizing and encoding. So in the coming slides, we are going to detail these three steps in order to understand the working principle of PCM. So first of all, we'll go with PCM sampling. So it can be more easily converted into binary PCM code. So for the ADC to accurately convert a voltage to a binary code, the voltage must be relatively constant so that the ADC can complete the conversion before the voltage level changes. So in the PCM transmitter, we have seen that that analog signal is given to a bandpass filter, then it is given to a sample and hold circuit, and then we are having what, the analog to digital converter. So if we are giving the analog signal directly to the analog to digital converter, that conversion will not be happen accurately. So for that, we have to make use of this sample and hold circuit. That is, for the ADC to accurately convert a voltage to a binary code, the voltage must be a relatively constant one. So that is why we are using this PCM sampling within this PCM system. If it is not relatively constant, then ADC will be continuously attempting to follow the changes and will not reach a stable state for any PCM code. So that is why we are using the sample and hold circuit within this PCM transmitter. So we have to that our input to this ADC should be what? A relatively constant one. So for that we have to make use of this sample and hold circuit. So basically there are two different types of sampling, that is natural sampling and flat top sampling. So now we can discuss the natural sampling. So the natural sampling occurs when the top of the sample pulse retains the natural shape during the sampling interval. So the sample pulses retain the natural shape. That is why it is known as what? The natural sampling. So in this waveform, the figure A represents your input analog input signal, and figure B represents the sample pulse, and C we are having the output waveform. So depending upon your sample pulses, your analog input is sampled, and your output will retains the natural shape of your input signal. That is, when your sample pulse goes high, then at that time your output will be exactly same as that of your input signal. When your sample pulse is equal to 0, that is a low pulse, at that time your output will also equal to 0. Again, when your sample pulse goes to a high value, then at that time what will happen is your output will retain the original shape of your, or it will retain the natural shape of your input signal. That is why it is known as natural sampling. So it makes the ADC difficult to convert the sample to a PCM code. So here in this output waveform you can see that still it is not producing what? A constant, it is not producing a relatively constant output. So, uh, so because of that, still the ADC will difficult to convert the sample to a PCM code. The frequency spectrum of this sampled output is different from that of an ideal sample, and this amplitude of the frequency components produced from narrow finite width sample pulses decreases for higher harmonics. So this alters the information frequency spectrum, and thus it requires the use of frequency equalization before recovery by a low pass filter. So next sampling is a flat top sampling. So we already seen in the previous slide that in natural sampling, your output retains the natural shape of your input signal. Still it is not producing a relatively constant output, so that the ADC is still difficult to convert that signal to a digital one. So that we will go for a flat top sampling. So the flat top sampling is accomplished in a sample and hold circuit. So the purpose of a sample and hold circuit is to periodically sample the continuously changing analog input voltage and convert the samples into a series of constant amplitude PAM voltage levels. So here also we have the input waveform and a sample pulse, and the figure C represents the output waveform. So in case of flat top sampling, the input voltage is sampled with the help of a narrow pulse, and it is held relatively a constant output voltage level until the next sample is taken. So in this flat top sampling, your output will be like a flat top. That is, your output will retain a constant value until the next sample is taken. So that is what a flat top sampling. So the flat top sampling introduces the less aperture distortion than the natural sampling. So in this flat top sampling, the output waveform produces a series of relatively constant output voltage levels. So that is what a flat top sampling. So we already discussed natural sampling and flat top sampling, and we concluded that we preferred the flat top sampling because it produces a relatively constant voltage level. So with the help of sample and hold circuit, we can generate the flat top sampled pulses. So this sample and hold circuit consists of a FET. So this FET is act as a simple analog switch. So this the turn on and off condition of this Q1 is determined with the help of a sampling pulse. So when it is turned on, the Q1 provides a low impedance path to deposit the analog input voltage across this capacitor C1. So the time for which your Q1 is on is known as the aperture or acquisition time. So at that time, the capacitor can charge to a maximum value. So the capacitor is the hold circuit. So when your input pulse, your sampling pulse goes to a low value, your transistor Q1 is in the off position. At that time, the C1 does not have a complete path to discharge through, and therefore it stores that sampled voltage. So the storage time of the capacitor C1 is known as the A to D conversion time. So during this time, the ADC convert the sample voltage to a PCM code. So by keeping the aperture time short and keeping the input to ADC relatively constant, the sample and hold circuit can produce a less aperture distortion. So here you can see the input-output waveform. So we have the analog input and we have the sample pulse. So when your sample pulse is in the high position, at that time your Q1 is on. So that is what the time for which the Q1 is on is known as what? The aperture time. So when your input pulse is low, at that time the capacitor can store that value. So at that time the conversion is happen. So that is known as the conversion time. So when your sample pulse is high, at that time what will happen is your capacitor will start charge and finally it will reach to a maximum value. When your sample pulse goes to a low value, at that time the capacitor doesn't get a path to discharge, so it will try to retain or store that value. So that is why at that particular time, that is when your sample pulse is low, at that time your capacitor will hold that value, and again when your sample pulse goes to a high value, at that time the capacitor get a path to discharge, so it will discharges to 0. So that is what a sample and hold circuit. So the working of this sample and hold circuit can be explained with the help of this circuit as well as this waveform. So we already discussed the PCM working, or within that PCM system there are 3 different steps. So we already discussed sampling, and next step is quantization. So the quantization is the process of converting a voltage level of an analog signal to a nearest standard level, or it can be defined as the process of converting an infinite number of possibilities to a finite number of conditions. So the analog signal contains an infinite number of amplitude possibilities. So thus converting an analog signal to a PCM code with a limited number of combination requires the quantization. Or we can define this quantization as the process of rounding of the amplitude of flat top samples to a finite number of levels. So the quantization level is equal to the individual voltage levels. So the quantization interval is equal to the difference between the adjacent voltage level. So the number of quantization level can be defined as L, which is equal to 2 raised to n, where n is the number of bits which is used in that PCM code. So simply we can define this quantization as the rounding of the amplitude of the flat top samples to a finite number of level, or we can say that it is a process of converting an infinite number of possibilities to a finite number of conditions. So for that we have to make use of quantization levels, that is represented as L, which can be find out with the help of n, that is the number of bits which is used in the PCM code. So L is equal to 2 raised to n. So, in order to understand the quantization, here we can consider an analog signal. So, consider an analog input in this figure. So, the voltage is varies from 0 to 50. So, this 0 to 15 can be divided into 16 different equal levels of 1 volt difference between each level. So your analog input is in this particular example, the voltage is varies in between 0 to 50. So in between 0 to 50, we divided into 16 equal levels of 1 volt difference between each level. For example, if the signal input was 6.8 volt, it would not be sent as such, but will be sent as digit 7 because the 7 is the nearest level to 6.8. So in this quantization process, what we are doing is we are rounding off the voltage level to the nearest voltage level. Suppose here if your analog input contains what? It contains an infinite number of possibilities. So that infinite number of possibilities want to convert it to a finite number of possibilities. That is, suppose if your analog input contain any decimal values, we have to convert or we have to send to a nearest voltage level. Suppose if your signal amplitude is 6.8, then we have to map that 6.8 to the nearest voltage level, that is known as 7 in this example. Since the total number of level is 16, here the voltage is varies between 0 to 15 and we are divided into 16 levels, that is your quantization level, that is L is equal to 16. So if L is equal to 16 means L is equal to 2 raised to n, that is n is equal to what? 4, that is 4 bits are required. Thus 7 can be represented as what? 0, 1, 1, 1. In pulse form, it is 0 ppt, where p is equal to pulse and 0 means no pulse. So in this particular example, we taken as the input voltage is varies between 0 to 15. So that we divided that 0 to 15 into 16 equal levels of 1 volt. That is your quantization level is equal to 16. And in the quantization, what we are doing is we just rounding off your amplitudes. Suppose if your amplitude, if your analog input is 6.8, then we will round that value to the nearest voltage level. So that is what a quantization. So the quantization process introduces some distortion, that is the round off error in the transmitted signal are produced when the code is converted back to the analog at the receiver. This is known as the quantization noise because the errors are random in nature. So the randomness occurs because the difference between the digit sent and the actual signal at that instant is completely unpredictable. So the maximum error that can occur is equal to the half the size of the sampling interval. The easiest method to reduce this quantization noise or that random noise is to increase the number of quantization levels. But more level requires more number of bits to send that particular code. That is L is equal to 2 raised to n. If you want to reduce the quantization noise, then we have to increase the number of quantization levels. If we increase the number of quantization level, then we have to represent the each code with more number of bits. So that is one of the disadvantage. So there are different PCM parameters. So we already know the quantization level is defined as L, which is equal to 2 raised to n, where n represents the number of bits which is used in that PCM code. Suppose the difference between the two voltage level is known as the step size. Let the step size can be defined as delta, which is given as the V max minus V minimum by L. Suppose if your analog input is varies between 0 to 15, then your V max will be equal to 15 and your V minimum is equal to 0. And the quantization level is represented as L. So this step size is equal to VPP, that is the maximum peak voltage divided by L. And the quantization noise or the quantization error is equal to, the maximum quantization error is equal to delta by 2, that is the step size by 2. That is the quantization noise or error is varies from minus delta by 2 to delta by 2. Suppose if your bit duration is represented as TB and your sampling interval is represented as TS, then the bit duration is equal to TS by N, where TS is the sampling interval and N represents the number of bits in one sampling interval TS. If RB is the bit rate in bits per second, then RB can be defined as 1 by TB. So here we have the TB, that is bit duration. So RB is equal to 1 by TB, which is equal to N by TS bits per second. And the maximum bandwidth of a PCM signal is equal to RB, that is the bit rate, which is in hertz. So these are the different PCM parameters, that is quantization level L, then step size delta, then quantization error, that is varies from minus delta by 2 to delta by 2, then bit duration, then this maximum bandwidth of a PCM signal. So depending upon this PCM parameters, maybe there will be some numericals. So next process or next step in that PCM system is encoding. So we already discussed sampling, quantization, and the third step, that is encoding. So the encoding is the process of assigning the each quantization level to a set of codes. So the code can be taken in sign magnitude form, where the MSB is the sign bit. So suppose if it is a positive value, then it is represented by your MSB will be equal to 1. Suppose if your magnitude or if your output voltage is negative, then that is represented by what? Your MSB will be equal to 0. And other represents the magnitude if analog input signal has both positive and the negative values. In this table, your input voltage is varies from minus 3.5 to plus 3.5, and it is divided into 8 number of quantization levels, and each is assigned a number between minus 3 to plus 3. So in this particular example, your analog input voltage is varies from minus 3.5 to plus 3.5. So in between minus 3.5 to 3.5, we are divided into 8 different quantization levels. So that is represented as minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, minus 0, 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3. So this plus sign represented as what? Your MSB will be equal to 1. If it is a negative, your MSB will be equal to 0. Then the corresponding number is written in the sign magnitude form and it is transmitted. So here, suppose if your analog input is in between minus 3.5 to minus 2.5, then in quantization what will happen is it will your analog input will be round off to the nearest voltage level, that is minus 3. Suppose if your analog input is in between minus 0.5 to minus 1.5, then in the quantization process what will happen is your analog input will be round off to the nearest quantization level. So in this example it will be round off to minus 1. Similarly, if your analog input is in between plus 1.5 to plus 2.5, then in the quantization process it will round off to the nearest quantization level, that is plus 2. Then for this plus we have to represent your MSC as 1. Then you have to represent this 2, that is 0, 1. So that is what encoding. So the encoding is the process of assigning the each quantization level to a set of codes. So here we have the quantization level. In case of encoding, we are assigning the each quantization level to what? To a set of codes. So the encoding can be explained with the help of this waveform. So the figure A represents the analog input signal and figure B represents the sample pulses, that is at T1, T2 and T3, and the figure C represents the pan signal. And finally at D we have the PCM code, that is 110, 001 and 111. So depending upon your sample pulses, your analog input is get sampled. So at T1, your analog input is almost close to +2 volt. That is, your analog input can be round off to the nearest voltage level, that is +2. So at that time, it can be represented as what? The PCM code as 110. So at that time, your output will be equal to +2, that is 110. So from T1 to T2 your output will be equal to 110. Again at T2, again your analog input is get sampled. At that time your analog amplitude is almost nearer, or it can be round off to the nearest quantization level, that is -1, which is represented as 001. So in between T2 and T3, your output waveform will be round off to the nearest voltage level, that is -1, that is 001. That is why in between T2 and T3, your output is equal to 001. Again at T3, what will happen? Your analog input is almost equal to 2.6 volt. It is approximately equal to 2.6 volt. So this 2.6 volt can be round off to the nearest voltage level, which is equal to +3. So the +3 can be represented as what? 111. So at T3 your output will be equal to what? +3, that is 111. That is what? At T3 your output will be equal to 111. So that is what? An encoding. So in case of encoding, what we are doing is we are converting that quantization level into the corresponding PCM code. So depending upon the quantization level, we can determine the number of bits which is used in the PCM code. So about the advantage of PCM, it is highly secured, then encoding is possible, and it is very high noise immunity. Then it is convenient for long distance communication and good signal to noise ratio. And about disadvantages, the circuit is comparatively complex and it requires large bandwidth, and the synchronization is needed between the transmitter and the receiver. And about applications, the PCM can be used in satellite transmission system, telephone circuits and space communication. So now we can solve one question. So we already discussed the PCM parameters, that is quantization level, then bit duration, then step size. So depending upon that, we can solve one particular question. A signal whose amplitude, that is varies between 0 and 10 volt, which is band limited to 4 kilohertz and transmitted through a channel using 5-bit PCM. The sampling rate is chosen as 50% higher than the Nyquist sampling rate. Calculate the different parameters of PCM. So in this question, your n number of bit is given as 5. So the quantization level is L, which is equal to 2 raised to n, which is equal to 2 raised to 5, which is equal to 32 levels. That is between the maximum value and the minimum value, your quantization level is equal to 32. Next, we have to find out the step size, that is delta is equal to V max minus V minimum by L, that is VPP by L, that is your maximum value is equal to 10, that is 10 by 32, which is equal to 0.3125 volt. Next, you have to find out the maximum condensation error. The condensation error is varies from minus delta by 2 to delta by 2. So the maximum error is equal to delta by 2, which is equal to 0.15625 volt. So here we already got what? Delta. So it's equal to 0.3125 divided by 2, which is equal to 0.15625 volt. In the question, it is given that the signal frequency is given as Fm is equal to 4 kilohertz. Then the Nyquist rate or sampling rate is equal to 2 times Fm, that is 2 into 4 kilohertz. So the Nyquist rate is equal to 8 kilohertz. In the question, it is given that the sampling frequency is chosen as 50% more than the Nyquist sampling frequency. So here sampling frequency Fs is equal to 8 kilohertz, that is the Nyquist rate, plus 50% more than what? Your Nyquist rate. So it is 50 by 100 into 8 kilohertz, which is equal to 12 kilohertz. Again, the bit rate Rp is equal to n by Ts. Our n is given as 5 and 1 by Ts is equal to what? The sampling frequency, that is Fs. So here we got the Fs as 12 kilohertz. So here Rb is equal to 5 into 12 kilohertz, which is equal to 60 kilobits per second. Again, the maximum bandwidth of a PCM system is equal to Rb, which is equal to 60 kilohertz. So this is what a PCM. So in this lecture, we discussed the pulse modulation technique. That is, the pulse modulation technique can be classified as two, that is digital pulse modulation and analog. And in analog, we discussed the three different modulation technique, that is pulse amplitude, then pulse width, then pulse position. And in case of digital, we discussed the pulse code modulation. And in this pulse code modulation, we discussed three different steps, that is PCM sampling, then quantization, then encoding. So with the help of these three steps, we can convert an analog signal to a PCM code. So that's all. Hope you understand this lecture. Thank you.